So let's expose one of the oldest questions in contracting. Is there a contract for me or whatever it is that my business does? Wow. Well, here's the question we'd have to ask to bring meaning to that initial question. Is your business model highly desirable to humans or something significant to keep infrastructure moving? Well, Derek, Theo, what is that? What is all this infrastructure talk? What does all that even mean? Think of it this way. Can you put the word industry next to your business or whatever your business does? If you said yes, then infrastructure either cannot move or be considered complete without it. So yes, everything I'm about to talk about is totally for you. Everything in this clip and beyond. If your business model or investment strategy supports the infrastructure society depends on, there is a contracting pathway for it, federal, state, local, or corporate. You see, infrastructure is funded through contracts, which means if what you do helps keep the world running, involving buildings, people, systems, services, tech, AI, whatever, then there is a contract for it because government and major corporations pay for anything that keeps infrastructure moving. So if your business depends on clients and cash flow, this is the time to increase your net worth. If you have any kind of credible value that people would buy, the biggest, most reliable client in America already needs what you sell, the U.S. government and all of its Fortune 500 partners. Right now, federal and corporate infrastructure spending is at its highest level in decades, and all those dollars move through contracts, not venture deals. I spent years inside that system as a federal contracting and procurement executive, Department of Defense, FEMA, Department of Veterans Affairs, or VA. Also, the City of Houston Strategic Procurement Division, which of course is the official contracting authority for America's fourth largest city, Houston. Now, I help companies and investors position themselves to win from the inside. So before you tell yourself that's not for me, let me teach you exactly why it is. Most people hear government contracts and think that means military bases or defense work, and that's not the case. It's the furthest thing from the truth. There are contracts for almost every industry you can name, and not just with the government. The government is not the only game in town. They're not the only group you can contract with. You can contract with everything that allows society and infrastructure to stay running. Hospitals, schools, energy companies, corporate facilities, city projects, private developers, infrastructure partners, the whole ecosystem. If it takes people, property, or process to keep the world operating, there is a contract for it and behind it. I'm talking everything from tech and AI, oil and gas, HVAC, roofing, janitorial, logistics, event planning, public relations, and you can do it your way. Let's think of some more things. Engineering, architecture, medical staffing, nursing, accounting. What is it that you do? Just keep thinking. Come on, finance, law, marketing, commercial real estate, which we always talk about, multifamily, retail property management, veteran housing, and everything in between. So we don't have to keep hitting that, right? So if you're an institutional investor also, private equity group, hedge fund, it doesn't matter. You can get something from this also. There are government-aligned business vehicles that go far beyond real estate. Now, yes, those federally backed government-leased assets are still some of the safest investment plays out there. Why? Because they offer something very rare. Guaranteed occupancy, long-term tenants, predictable returns, zero market volatility. But the real opportunity also includes low-risk operating companies already plugged into the government and Fortune 500 procurement pipelines, logistics firms, supply chain contractors, facility management companies, construction support contractors, energy efficient consultants, IT and cybersecurity firms, compliance and professional services-based businesses. Those are cash-flowing, contract-anchored enterprises that move with federal funding cycles, not the stock market. That's low volatility, compliance-backed wealth. Your capital works inside the infrastructure, not against it. So yes, There is absolutely a contract for what you do. The question is whether you know how to reach it. A practical example, right? A Houston HVAC company, they landed a 5-year city maintenance contract simply by responding to a facility systems posting solicitation. They didn't reinvent their business, they just repositioned it. SAM.gov. What if I told you SAM.gov is not always the be-all, end-all? But we love SAM.gov, right? We live by it, we swear by it. So let's reference SAM.gov for a quick sec, but in a different fashion, as well as FedBizOps and all of your favorite online e-bid, e-purchasing, and e-procurement tools or platforms. Now, not just for the federal government, but across all municipalities, counties, states, parishes if you're in Louisiana, right? That's where I'm from. But for most of you who've already been in the bidding and contracting game, you already know about these things. And that's lovely, beautiful. I commend you. But here's what you do not know. By the time you see a contract opportunity posted online or a solicitation, that opportunity has already been discussed for months or even years because agencies already know the problem they have. They just have not had a chance to formally advertise the solicitation yet. So, if you can spot that gap before it becomes public, you can shape it and get first in line when it drops. That's called an unsolicited proposal. Make sense? It simply means you bring the solution before the agency advertises the problem. So, if you are always waiting on SAM.gov or some e-procurement tool to tell you what to bid on, in many cases, you're already late or behind your competition because the people who influence the opportunity are already in the room. Practical example. Let's talk FEMA, as in the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So, a logistics firm notices FEMA was leasing storage yards every hurricane season. So, they pitched a pre-arranged depot before the storm season hit. So by the time hurricane season came rolling around, that logistics firm was already under contract before competitors even had an opportunity to see the bid. They brought the solution before FEMA publicly advertised the problem. Make sense? So let's dig a little deeper into the world of unsolicited proposals. Why? Because I know most of you have never heard of it. All right, it's that simple. An unsolicited proposal means you're not waiting for someone to hand you an opening. You're knocking first. You're saying, here's what's missing in your agency or corporation, and here's how my company can help you fix it. And here's how it aligns with your mission and your budget. So instead of sitting around waiting for someone to create a competitive opportunity for you, you are literally shifting the tables and presenting the value to the agency or the corporation before they even advertise it. In plain English, this is how innovators, consultants, and investors win without waiting for permission. Practical example, a cybersecurity firm sent a 2-page brief showing how their software could cut false alarms in government data centers. And guess what? The agency approved a 90-day pilot exclusive to the company who sent the 2-pager before any contracting solicitation opportunity was made public. That's killing the competition before it even comes. Be the first to solve a problem. Secure your company's financial future. It's that simple. When you position your company to be first in line to solve problems, you can create such a rapport with that agency or corporation that you literally shape the narrative to become the sole source provider for that particular contracting opportunity. Ongoing. Every agency and every corporation has operational gaps that they have not solved yet. Ongoing. Maybe a VA clinic needs overflow housing for veterans, or unfortunately, people getting ready to check out. Maybe a city needs HVAC upgrades. Now, all my HVAC people, that's you. Maybe an agency needs a PR team. That's very, very important. Maybe a manufacturer needs a better janitorial support. We know how much we hate unclean facilities. They know these problems exist. They just have not had a chance to turn them into contracts yet. So when you show up early with a clean, compliant solution, you become the author of that opportunity. If you solve the problem before they write the RFP, you often control how the RFP gets written. That's how the real players move, by solving before selling. Practical example. An event planning company pitched a turnkey conference concept to FEMA's outreach office. It became part of their annual summit and they got an ongoing contract. So whenever it's time for them to get ready for that summit, they call that one event company every time. It's literally theirs to lose. Key personnel and gatekeepers. Here are the people who actually matter. Your project manager or program manager. This is the person who runs the program day to day, the operations. They feel the pain first. Short on staff, facility behind on repairs, outdated systems. The project managers and program managers know first. They're typically going to be your site generals, your field generals. They know what's happening. Then there is your contracting officer or KO. They are the ones who can actually legally receive and sign your proposal under FAR 15.6, which is the section of the Federal Acquisition Regulation that covers unsolicited proposals. Think of them as your official gatekeeper. Now, in many cases, if we're talking about a city or a state, sometimes that same function is carried under your chief procurement officer or purchasing official, whatever designated title is decided upon by that city, state, municipality, or organization. But for the most part, they are going to be the same in functionality as your contracting officer would be for the federal government. All right? Makes sense? Tomatoes, right? Going on. Now, also, you want to copy the small business office, also called the OSDBU, which is an acronym for the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Ooh, that's a lot. Look them up because you want to always call and courtesy copy them in emails when necessary. They make sure small, minority, and veteran-owned businesses get fair visibility. Then, your local procurement director, the head of purchasing for a city or county, which we just covered above. Now, whether it's city, state, or federal, these are typically who you want to know because they are your buyers, whether it's janitorial services or IT support. They're your official buyers, meaning they actually buy from you or they manage and direct the team of buyers. And yes, private companies follow that same structure. Project managers, procurement directors, vendor relations. They call it vendor-initiated solutions. Same system, different logo. Practical example, a janitorial company met a program manager at a city trade show. That one relationship led to cleaning contracts across multiple municipal buildings. No SAM.gov, no posting required. All right? The 5-step playbook. This is some real life game. Take notes. Step 1, spot the gap. You can use SAM.gov and USAspending.gov to see what's being purchased and what's missing. Step 2, write a 1 to 2 pager short form proposal / solution brief. All right? Now, in that brief, you're going to include the problem, the solution, your past performance, estimated budget, timeline, and why it makes their life easier. Step 3, send it to the program manager and contracting officer. We talked about that in the previous clip. Include this line. This proposal is submitted in accordance with FAR subpart 15.6 and is not in response to any published solicitation. Copy the OSD BU. We talked about that. Step 4, follow up 10 to 14 business days. Ask if it fits an existing program or if it can start as a pilot. Step 5, stay visible. Ask to be added to market research and sources sought list. Practical example, a construction supply company used this exact process to pitch modular units for emergency housing and landed a $600,000 deal with FEMA, or a FEMA order rather. All right, let's move on. So how do we identify government agencies and corporations to create opportunities for ourselves? Now, when we say ourselves, we are talking about our companies, a fully functioning company. That functionality part is very important. You need to actually be a company, but hopefully I didn't have to tell you that, right? All right. Understand the agency, find your fit. Got it? Before you find the right opportunity, you need to understand who you are solving problems for. Every agency exists because of a need in society. FEMA, disaster recovery and response. VA, veteran care. DOE, energy and power. USDA, farming and nutrition. DOT, transportation and infrastructure. HUD, housing and development. DOD was Department of Defense, now the War Department, right? Maybe that name is temporary or maybe it'll change back. Who knows? Who cares, right? You just want to work for the agency so that you can get that contract money going. But that is the parent agency to our five of six branches of military within the United States, with the exception of the Coast Guard being a sub-agency to DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So what are some things you can provide on a military base, or some things you can sell to our military to help them be more functional in their operations, to help them be more efficient? The point is, each agency has a mission, and that mission creates a supply chain. And when you develop solutions, your company becomes part of that supply chain and infrastructure. Private industry mirrors that same blueprint. Infrastructure partners support those same missions. So when you understand what agencies do and what companies that serve those agencies do, you can frame your research strategically. Got it? You'll start spotting the gaps that fit exactly within what your business provides. When you understand the mission, you can position your business in the middle of the money. Practical example. An engineering firm realized DOT bridge inspections were delayed due to staffing, so they proposed drone inspections and became the long-term vendor and solution provider. Unsolicited success examples. Let me give you some real-world examples of unsolicited success, as in unsolicited proposals, because sometimes hearing the actual plays makes everything click. Got it? All right. The solar company that beat everyone to the money. A mid-sized solar company noticed something simple. Several federal warehouses were still using old lighting systems, and they were also paying huge energy costs. The government loves to save money, as we see right now. Instead of waiting for the RFP to be published, they wrote a 2-page unsolicited proposal showing how much money the government would save, how rooftop solar would reduce operating expenses, how the project could fit into the agency's sustainability goals. That was it. No fancy pitch deck, no 50-page technical proposal. I don't know how many people showed me those things, and I'm like, this is unnecessary. It's stressful to even look at. So when Department of Energy got fresh sustainability funding, guess who they called first? They called the company that already solved the problem on paper. They didn't just apply for a contract, they created the opportunity for themselves. Now, Example two, the medical staffing firm that became the pilot. A medical staffing firm saw that VA clinics in their region were consistently understaffed on nights and weekends. Instead of complaining like most people, they documented the problem and submitted a short, unsolicited proposal offering a hybrid remote and in-clinic nursing plan that would reduce wait times and cut overtime costs. The VA said, hey, let's test this out for 90 days. I remember those days when I worked for the VA, by the way. That's a pilot, which is often the first step toward a long-term contract. They did not wait for the big opportunity. They created a small one that turned into a bigger one because they understood how to find the gaps and holes in the VA system. Example 3, the janitorial company that turned a plan into a 3-year contract. A janitorial company noticed several municipal buildings were dealing with outdated sanitation procedures after COVID. They attended a city outreach event, met a program manager, and followed up with a short, unsolicited plan that showed cleaning schedules, risk reduction, staffing coverage, emergency response cleaning. It wasn't complicated. It was just organized. 3 months later, when the city finally funded a sanitation initiative, that janitorial company was already pre-vetted, and they won a 3-year recurring contract. Not because they were the biggest, but because they were the earliest. They were proactive. Example 4, the real estate investor who saw a future RFP before it dropped, request for proposal, right? Saw it in his mind. A real estate investor owned an underused warehouse near a VA facility. Instead of waiting for a leasing announcement, RLP, they submitted a proposal showing how the building could be converted into records management. That's good. Outpatient support, veteran services, administrative expansion. Months later, VA modernization funding came in. By the way, that budget is over $5 billion now. Guess who VA called in for a walkthrough? The owner who already pitched the solution before VA even requested one. One idea leads to one building, leads to one preemptive proposal, and it became a federal lease candidate. Final example we'll do for this segment. The private equity group that partnered with an SDVOSB, a mid-size investment group, wanted stable, low volatility income, not tied to the stock market. They partnered with that SDVOSB, service disabled veteran-owned small business, positioned for government leasing, co-acquired a commercial office property, aligned it for federal compliance, and submitted it as a solution to a long-term agency need. When the lease was approved, they locked in a 10-year federal tenant, guaranteed rent, zero market risk, and contract-backed stability project. That's not speculation. That's actual infrastructural wealth. So, for the final overall practical example, right? Investors, small businesses, service providers, all of these wins happened because people stopped waiting. They didn't say, well, let's see what's on SAM.gov so we can bid on it. They actually took the time to ask, what problem already exists within this agency, and how can I put my company in alignment to be the solution? That's the game. Unsolicited success by understanding how to tie your business into the infrastructure where capital is already flowing. By the way, you heard me use the term RLP. That's request for lease proposal. You heard me use the term SDVOSB. That's service disabled veteran-owned small businesses. The reason why investors and other companies out there should want to partner with them, SDVOSB, is because they will typically get priority on most government contracting opportunities with the VA. It's called the Vets First Initiative, and it makes total sense, right? Thanks. The FAR overhaul and government reopening. Congratulations, your government just opened back up, right? Now, with the government reopened, there's good news for the entire contracting community. We are entering a FAR overhaul. And remember, The FAR, that's FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which is the government contracting Bible. It's good because that's being rewritten to be in plain English. Now, people used to focus on capability statements, certifications, past performance, NAICS codes, those check the boxes metrics, right? Check the box metrics. Now, of course, those things still matter, but the priority is shifting to speed. Inside the government, procurement used to take 18 to 24 months for a project or contract to move. Now the mandate is move faster, advertise faster, award faster. And for you, the business owner, contractor, vendor, or investor partnering with experts, this means you can move faster too. So now you win faster simply by being efficient and having your compliance plans in place. Much easier than the old fluff, and this is a turning point because it benefits those who are prepared. Now, how do you get prepared? Watch the compliance videos on the GovCon Empire channel. It's already there for you. I put this together for you months ago. For accredited, institutional, and venture-based investors only. Disclaimer, that's very important for this segment. Now, how can a high net worth investor profit from a contracting business vehicle? Remember, it was government contracts that allowed Elon Musk and several billionaires to be where they are today. It carved the pathways for them. So, the inability to entertain or retain this kind of information as an investor, along with stubbornness too, could be a reason why a lot of not so smart investors remain part of that 80 to 90% of failed investors. Those are in fact verifiable statistics. Don't be one of those, and you can fact check that. So, we're gonna make this, as we say in the military, idiot proof. All right, let's get to it. So, let me give you a quick real world example for the investors who are skeptical, because trust me, I get it. Anything new has to be touched with caution. However, here's how a high net worth investor actually benefits from a contracting business vehicle. A private investor, mid-40s, 7-figure liquidity, wanted predictable cash flow without stock market swings. He did not want to run a business. He did not want tenants calling him at 2 a.m. Neither did he want to be bothered with contract milestone incidentals during the post-award phase of the contract. He simply wanted contract-backed revenue that did not depend on trends or hype, so that he could have at least one vehicle in his portfolio performing on his behalf with no volatility. So here's what he did. He partnered with a compliant contracting firm that already had infrastructure capability. In this case, aerospace, logistics, facilities management, and infrastructural innovation. Now, that investor did not take over operations. He simply provided capital to expand capacity, equipment, staffing, compliance planning, and the ability to take on larger contracts. That firm then used his investment capital to pursue multi-year government and corporate contracts. Contracts that pay monthly, no volatility, and are backed by the agency's budget, as well as their Fortune 500 partnerships. Within 90 days, they secured a 5-year IDIQ indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract with the Department of Defense and NASA That contract included more than 7 large components, which entailed logistics, aerospace planning, facilities management, agency personnel expansion, and international multimodal transport. The investor's capital was paid back through contract revenue with a profit share on top. He was not managing anything. He was not in the field. He was not chasing anyone from an operational standpoint. He simply put money into a contract-anchored business vehicle that already had compliance, already had capability, simply needed capacity. And the return? Steady monthly income, no market volatility, and a partnership interest in a business that grows as new contracts are awarded. That is how sophisticated investors move. They invest into the supply chains of government and corporate demand, not speculation. Practical example, he invested once and the contracts paid him back for years. Once again, as a warning and disclaimer, this segment was exclusively designed and intended for educated and credentialed institutional accredited investors, not necessarily those who simply feel as though they have a lot of capital or money to invest, but might not properly be educated or credentialed. It is very important that we stress that because not all people with money possess the same levels of intellect and comprehension or understanding at this level. Additional disclaimer. You are getting this information exclusively on the GovCon Empire channel by Derek Green, which is currently the only channel that can bridge all of the gaps between government contracting from the perspective of actually being a federal acquisitions, procurement, and contracting officer, and how actual institutional investors connect to that same pipeline as companies do. As of November 15th, 2025, no other contracting educator is providing this level of insight. You heard it all here first. GovCon Empire, Derek Green. Talk soon. So if you've made it this far, your takeaway is stop waiting. Create your own contract. Contracts don't just live on SAM.gov and city and state e-procurement tools. They live everywhere problems need to be solved, government or private. It's all procurement. If your business delivers real value or your capital is ready to fund infrastructure-aligned ventures, there is a lane for you. Don't wait for opportunities to show up. You can literally create it, especially if you understand compliance. Every RFP started as someone's idea. The question is, will yours be the next one? I'm Derek Green, and this is GovCon Empire. I am here to tell you that as much as we love SAM.gov, we don't necessarily wait on it all the time. And by the way, yes, you still need to be registered in SAM.gov, and you still need to understand how to properly navigate it. And I will have a series on that as well. But for now, just reach out if you need to understand better ways to optimize use of it. We have consulting services that can help you with that as well. But for today, we really want you to understand the power of the unsolicited proposal, because creating opportunities before they hit SAM.gov, for a lot of people, that's where the real wealth play is. Practical example, a small tech consultant thought she was too small and she offered data cleanup to a Fortune 100 prime contractor and walked away with a $300,000 subcontract simply by identifying a problem and offering a solution before the problem was even advertised. GovCon Empire, where compliance meets capital. Let's go.